Okay, let's wait a moment as you go. You're recording. Perfect. Mr. Dayan, when was the first time you ever thought about buying a yacht?
Buying a bigger yacht, let's say, or buying a yacht.
Buying a
Because
yacht in the first place.
I since after college, I always loved the sea. And when I came back to Brazil, I started with small boats and kept going bigger every few years.
Have a
So
few. But you mentioned it was your love for the sea before
yes.
you came back to Brazil. So where was it where it was initiated, if I may inquire?
Now, okay, let's say when I was like 12 years old, my father gave me a laser dinghy, and I had like 2 years of very nice experience with that. And since then, I always wanted to go back to the sea to have something like that. I went to college, then I travel. I went to college in Israel, then I went to work in New York, and when I came back to Brazil, I start getting closer to the sea with a small boat, and then a sailing boat, and then a motorboat, and then I wanted something that give me more autonomy, and then I built with MCP, which is the yard. I built a new project of like a trawler, 80 feet. This was already in 2009 we built it. And since then, I always wanted to do something bigger, but I never had the courage. Uh, and I did a few projects on a bigger boat. I think that in 2000, something like that, 13, I did a project here in Brazil of 100 feet, but I wasn't ready to do that. In 2000, my first contact with VriP was in, let me double check, probably was 16, I think, 2016. Let me double check that if I'm not
Absolutely.
mistaken. Yeah, 17, early 17, end of 16. I start doing a project with Bart, but it went out to be, I wasn't ready, and it was too big. It was like a 40 meters, and I didn't have the courage to do something like that. So I did a project that I haven't used. And then in 2019, I said now I know that since I haven't done that, I will never be satisfied if I don't do something crazy like that. And then I said, okay, now let's do it, but I want a different project. So I approached VriP again with a different idea, and then we did it, and I'm at the end of the build. In 3 months, we might have it going to the sea already.
Well, that's quite a while. I would like to go back. So it actually was your father who was responsible for your love of the sea. Or did you ever love the sea and your father just said, you love it so much, so I give you a boat? What was
I'm not so sure. I always liked, of course, but I went to a club med here in Brazil, and then for the first time there was those laser dinghy optimist and all that,
yeah,
and I love it. I stayed a whole week on those sailing boats, and
yeah,
then my father said, "Okay, let's buy a dinghy, a laser. And it was very funny because we used to go like Friday afternoon to the beach. We put all the family on the laser and there was no wind and we stay like for 2 hours. And then I like that, and that's it.
So it was the sailing that brought you to there, and by accident, it seems like, because there are a
Yeah,
lot of things you can do in the Club Mediterranee, isn't there?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Well, but it seems you got hooked. What got you hooked, may I say?
I like this kind of adventure that I also like. I like to go to places, to travel, to go to longer places. So I when I have like a small dinghy, I used to do sometimes like to go 500 miles and camping on the beaches, on those crossing. So I always like all those things, and also I like to stay on the to stay at anchor and on the beach, on the sea, and I don't know why. It's a different question. It's a difficult question, but all my kids were born on the boat basically, and they go since they are a child, so they know exactly. Uh, by 10 years old, they can drive a dinghy better than some professionals, you know. So it's something that is part of the family.
Ah, so they inherited your passion, so to say.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's marvelous. You mentioned a taste for adventure. Can you describe that a little bit more detail?
For example, I took my 80 feet and went from Brazil to the Caribbean. I did some, I think, 8 times in 8 different years to go from Sao Paulo to Bahia, which is more than 1,000 miles. So it's like 3.5 day nonstop navigation to go to different places and with no infrastructure.
That's
Uh,
quite impressive.
so this kind of things to go to different places I like. Of course, my family don't like that much the adventure part. They like the way to have fun on the boat and to they prefer that. So both together we complement each other.
Excellent. So this sense of adventure, when you're out there by yourself or when you do these long trips, how does it make you feel?
I ask myself, what the hell I'm doing here? I'm crazy. What am I doing? It's dangerous. It's crazy, but then it's a fantastic feeling of achievement and all that. So I don't know. It being able to go to places by yourself and go through those kinds of adventure. It's something very interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. It's interesting for me to hear that because you could achieve that also with how shall I say, other tools. You know, you could take your bike, you could just walk, or other things. Was it?
If I'm at the beach, I keep watching the boats passing on and say I'd rather be on the boat than at the beach. You know, uh, so
Ah, in Italy, we call it nautica, that you just love to be on the sea and what
yes, yeah.
brings with it. When you think about the sea, what is that comes to mind, or what kind of image do you have about it?
There's two different kind of image. One that is a very rough sea, windy and rainy and almost trying to survive. And another is to be anchored in a nice bay. The sun is rising and or sunset and all that thing. So there's these two antagonic view that is always when you are in a boat, you're never so secure. We're never you don't rest completely, and at the same time you have the best and exciting moments.
Do you like the? It seems to me like you like that kind of excitement, the kind of how shall I say, adventure, and also almost unpredictability.
On my hobby, yes. I mean, once a year I participate in regatta. And once every 2 years we charter boats outside Brazil. Sometimes sailing boats, sometimes motor yachts. So it's part of our routine
Hmm.
to be on boats.
Do you still go on these trips alone, just out there?
Yeah, sometimes. For example, I'll do next month. I go to there is the whale season. I should go to. It's like 600 miles from here. I will go to stay like 1 day or two and go back. So I do this by or I did I have a power boat, a small power boat, like 37 feet, and we I went fishing to the platform, which is 200 miles offshore. So it's not for the fun of the fishing; it's for the fun of getting there and coming back safe and sound.
Ah, so it's in a way
But
people always say,
I think we should start talking about repack because if not, we're not gonna get where we need to go, right?
the interesting part is for us to understand what
Ah,
your experiences are, and these things are
okay.
more important than working with repack
So
because
go
it's
ahead. Use your.
so us it's important what drives you, because I can clearly sense the desire for adventure, the unknown, conquering things. These are all things that are they important to you just for your hobby, or are they things that you value in life?
No, I think that in life I take less risk. Let's say, in my business, let's say in the business I take less risk
Yeah,
than
you work in
the hobby.
financial services, which are not traditionally known for risk taking.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. But
and
for example, for this boat, I spend hours making routes that I would go do and dreaming about that. I'm not so sure if, but for next year, I'm planning to go to the Caribbean and then I want to cross the Atlantic and get to the Mediterranean with this boat. So basically, I'm doing that also to that something that allows me to go further and have plenty of luxury and all that. So part of the project is to be something very reliable. So the mechanical part or the most of the equipment that I'm putting there, some of them are almost professional, just to make sure I'll be able to do those kind of things.
so in a way, it's not the way to describe it. It's not really reliability, but it's pushing the boundaries farther.
Yes, I mean, one thing is to be in the Mediterranean in a charter boat. Another thing is to be on your own boat with your own crew and your family sitting in Sardinia and having fun there. I think this is something that I want to achieve. I want to get there with my own boat. It's going to cost a lot. It's going to be very expensive and it will take long time, but I believe I will be able, and this is one of the main reason I'm doing this kind of boat.
Excellent. You mentioned during the initial stages of our conversation, you mentioned a lot of times that you didn't have the courage, didn't have the courage, didn't have the courage. Now, by the way, you describe your sense for adventure. You don't strike me as somebody who doesn't have the courage to do these things.
You
Could you
know,
elaborate on
it,
that?
It's very difficult when you think that the cost involved, not just on building it, but on maintaining. Uh, you ask yourself, is this is not something irresponsible? That is not just having the money to do that, is having the guts to spend all that money. It's responsible for your kids also, that see the father putting so much money in something that it's a hobby, let's say. It's not so important for them. It's not I'm buying my house where I'm gonna live. It's like not even my summer villa in the no, it's the boat, you know. So so this kind of thing. And I lost my father some 13, 14 years ago, and it's something that you don't have who to ask if you should do that or not, you know. So it's more a question of responsibility in terms of the cost of all that. If it's not so stupid to do such an extravagant move and put so much money on that. But I realized that when I decided not to do that, I will not rest before I do that. And it's better to do with 50 years old than with 60 years old. So this is the conclusion I went, and I said to myself, and I said, no, I have to do, even if it's a big mistake. I'll be always thinking I should have done that. I should have, and then I decide, okay, let's do it.
It's kind of, you made a balance sheet almost. Irresponsibility versus the feeling that you missed an opportunity, a great opportunity in a way.
Exactly. I realized that it's something that I will do someday in my life. So I said, okay, let's do while I'm still more younger than older.
So it was a matter of time. You always had in your mind, I mean, the doubt of irresponsibility, but you said, I'm going to pull the trigger one
Yeah.
day or another. Yeah.
What made me decide it was exactly the decision not to do it. After 6 months that I decided not to do it, I was already thinking of a new project, and I should do something like that. So I realized that it's really in myself. I have two associates here, my cousins. So I called them and I said, I want to say something. I want to do something like that. I want to have your advice. And they know me, and they say, you can do it, you should do it, you really want something like that. They told me, I wish I had something that I wanted so much to do as you want your boss. So go ahead. It's your luck that you have this wish.
Yeah, now your wish came true. All your hard work finally paid off.
Yes,
No?
exactly.
And what was it that finally we would say tipped the scales to say, this time I'll do it?
I don't know. It was the right timing. I said I need to do it. I need to change my boat. I need to do something like that, and I'm ready. I was ready. Let's say I was ready.
Okay. No, I was just thinking because you mentioned 2019 and we all know what happened in 2019. If that had an influence, I don't know.
I started the build. I signed a contract in 20, and 19 was before the pandemic, right? So the decision was done before uh, in
Before
before the pandemic. So it was
was
before all
nothing
that.
to do with it. Ah, interesting. So, but you've been in contact with VriP for quite some time. since 2016. You mentioned the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017. How did you find them? How did you go about it? I mean, it's not that you just Google up yacht designers.
No, it's the yard. I mean, the MCP yard. They've done already something with VriP. I know that this kind of build I have to do in Brazil, and this is someone that I trust.
MCP is somebody you trust.
MCP, yes.
Yeah.
MCP is someone that I trust in terms of reliability of their build. And but I know he has no, in terms of project, he cannot bring me something that I wanted.
It was
So
outside
yes,
their
exactly.
capabilities, so to say.
Exactly. So since he has a good contact with Repact, and it's not something very easy to work with, MCP is you need to know how and I get along very well with him. So he introduced me Repack, and then it opened a new possibility and something that I can reach the level I desire.
Did you immediately feel that when you meet the people that you say, finally?
When we did the first project, I mean, I liked the interaction, but at the end, it wasn't. There was a few things that I it wasn't so nice in a few things. We didn't reach getting into details. For example, I wanted a place facing forward when you can see the navigation, and we did something very nice. It was like an observation lounge that you can see it comfortably, windows and face forward navigation. But in exchange on the bridge we had to put on the front of the fly bridge. So it was an enclosed part in front of the fly bridge, and this is something that was bothering me a lot.
Did you make that clear? I'm sure you did.
Huh?
I'm sure you made that clear. You're like, this is pretty much.
Yes. But it was, I mean, I had the project, I bought the project, we work on that, and at the end, this was, so it wasn't that exactly, but I like the relationship with Repack. Then there was a boat show that I went in Miami, and I had my first meeting, personal meeting with Bart, and I really enjoyed the conversation, and they always were very open to my ideas. They always said that, let's say, even this first project was something very special for them. They were always open to the inputs that I had to say. They always tried to understand what I wanted.
How did that
So
make you feel?
important. So I knew that it was with them that I'll do the next project or the. So I had no doubt at all when we started again. Now to go a real project, and that I did with them.
And that was all based pretty much, there the tipping point seemed to be the moment you met Bart in Miami, correct?
Yes.
What
This
was
was
it that
between the
made,
first and the second project.
okay. Okay, so the first project went,
No, when I met him, it was exactly to say that I'm not going to go forward. I'm not ready to move ahead with this first project. And there was a completely understanding from his sides and from their side. So even the yard was there. It was a meeting between the yard and Repack, MCP and Repack. So I felt very comfortable that there was no pressure and nothing. And
yeah,
it's
I can only imagine this cannot be easy that you walk into a meeting and say pretty much it's off. you know.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
But they dealt with it
Yes,
very well.
very well, very well. They're okay. We're open whenever you want again, and I felt very comfortable with that.
Ah, that's good. So they looked at the long-term relationship rather than whatever
Exactly.
was on the table. Ah, that's interesting. So from there, when you then pulled the trigger, how was that? Were you in touch with them from 2017 on frequently, or was it more?
No, no, once in a while like that. But then what happened is that I had a friend that also wanted to build a yacht. So said, let's do a whole project together, and then everyone decide what he can want to do with this platform. Okay, I said, so let's do with Repack. So I contact Bart, and I say we're gonna do that. I did the, let's say, the negotiation of this first part of the whole, and I told them that we're gonna share with this friend. So this friend start the project. He was more in a rush than myself. So he was, but then he didn't manage with MCP. He very fast he decided that he's not going to do. He bought azimuth 30, 32 meter, 33 meters. He bought ready, and he said, "This is for me. I don't want to build." And then I kept moving forward with Repact. After the whole, I made some changes, but we used just the basic, and then we decided working on a new external. We worked first on the external part of the boat, and then we did the interior also. So it went very well. I mean, they managed to understand what I wanted, uh, and then the baby was born, getting born, and with what most of the thing that I wanted was I managed to put there. It was like they knew how to understand what I want, and they came back with nice idea. There's just something that I told Bart already. Let's say we develop an idea, then they we discuss, okay, this, that, now, and then we have the basic idea, and then they came with something more ready, and that's it. Like, let's say I want to change this and that. No, no more change. I told you, you could charge for that, but do another round. We'll go a little bit deeper on the project, but it's okay. I mean, they really managed to understand, and we work. I think we work very well together, uh, and that's it. They had some problem with people. Let's say change a few people that was working. Sometimes I have to call Bart and say, okay. This is not moving forward, or that. But and then I think that in the middle of my project, they had so many other projects that they were a little bit
Overwhelmed.
overwhelmed. Yes, and they pushed a lot in order to disclose the project to the public, and I didn't want that. I said I'm not ready for that, and then I know what to do. You just want to publish and say make a press release on this project, and that's it. Forget it. No, it's not ready. It's not. We're not ready yet. But I mean,
Did that happen to you before? Because you talked about.
yes, it's very normal. You know, you hire someone or an architect or something like that to do something. He want to disclose and say, "This is my. I did that," but we didn't did yet. So you cannot say that it's done. It was just an idea on paper.
Just
And a few months ago, I said, "Okay, now we're ready. Now the boat is almost ready, so you can now disclose." And they did a press release and that. I think that I really liked the way they worked with us. I like their idea. They pushed me a little bit more than I wanted in terms of modern. But it's okay. I mean, I need to wait the final results, but there is probably more black that I wanted to have in terms of color. But people say it's nice, it's beautiful. Let's say how it's gonna be on the 40 degrees sun in Brazil, in the summers of Brazil. But it looks beautiful on paper. Let's see the reality. We're starting the painting now. So they pushed me a little bit more than that. And if I will do again, I don't think so in the next 10
whatever
years. But
goes.
I will have them work more close, let's say, not just in the first phase of the project. I mean, we decide every main places of the boat, and they do the 3D. I needed another round. Some small changes could have been done, and we did after without them. So if I'll do again, I'll contract them for go a little bit deeper and a little bit longer into the boat, and not just in the.
Because also it's from a logical viewpoint, if you invest more time at the beginning, it's also less expensive than doing changes afterwards, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not really changed, but I'll give you an example.
Yes, please.
We have all the 3Ds, the interior beautiful of the boat that they did, and it's all wood, plenty of wood, okay, and wood and brown wood, the color of a brown wood. When when we started and needed to buy material, they sent all the description of everything, and the wood that they described is a gray wood and not a brown wood, which was very interesting. And we loved that, and we did that. It's very different because it's like a gray wood, something very different. And the color of the hull is gray, so it makes a lot of sense like that. But I have hundreds of interiors photos, the 3D that they did.
In brown.
It's everything in brown. You know, so this is it will be nice. Okay, now you did that, and let's rearrange the 3D. Let's see how it goes. You know, let's do a step further. Anyway.
So it worked out well, but it could have done the opposite way, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Or sometimes they have the picture that shows something, and they have the drawing saying different thing. So we have to decide You see, you should see the yard taking the picture and say, okay, let's do like that or like that. We have those two things. And so probably it's my mistake. I should have taken them to work further into the build, in the build. Uh, I think it will be easier. And I told Bart that he needs uh, to oblige his clients to do this step further.
Did he ever offer that?
Huh?
Did he ever offer it or say this was probably something you should consider?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
They were busy in other project, let's say like that.
Oh, okay.
Let's say they just wanted to turn the pages and move to something else. And with the pandemic, they were most of them at home, and plenty of clients asking things, and probably it was like that. So I didn't have this space there, you know.
But in
Uh,
this
and
particular moment, how did you feel?
I mean, it's okay. I'm happy with their work. But so let's say you have a meeting with them. They want to present the 3D and the configuration of that. Very nice. Let's say 80% is fantastic. Let's say I want to change this and that, or this to be different. Ah, okay, very well. You should change that. Okay, but it never came with something changed. You know. So that's it. Move forward. Now we're gonna present the deck salon. Okay. Very nice, but I think here it should be like that. Okay, yeah, it's very important. Oh, they write down. Okay, now we're gonna present, and that's it. They were a little bit in a hurry, let's say, with some. But it's part of. It's okay. I mean, I recognize their deep understanding of the Nautica as a whole. So I recognize that it was the they recognize also that when I give a good input, they absorb that, they accept that. This was also important.
Even
And
wanted to have to see more, how shall I say, that the suggestions will be put into practice.
yeah. So at the end, let's say in a few months, but Bart told me already he's gonna come to Brazil to see it's ready, and they're gonna tell everybody this is the boat that VriPax made, and I'll say okay, 65% they did it. Let's say, but it's okay. I mean, they're gonna put their it's gonna be on the okay. It's another
Yeah.
VriPack boat, but in fact, it's. But you know, I'm satisfied. I have nothing to complain.
There you go.
I want. When I started the new project, we were already. We did, or after the whole we did, and we starting the project of the GA general arrangement and all that. I went to Holland to visit their office.
They invite you?
Huh?
Did they invite you?
I think so. They invite me, and I said I'm gonna go. And I had a business trip close to there, so I went to their office, and I was very well received. We had some nice meeting there. I saw, I met the second associate of Bart, which was also important. I never had any close relationship with him, but I saw the people. We discussed. It was also important to. It was an important point in terms of relationship to them.
Building trust. Yeah.
Exactly. And I told them that one day I will come with my boat and dock just in front of Repack. And I will do that one day.
I'm sure you will. I'm
I'm
sure
not sure
you will,
when,
Mr.
but I will
Dayan.
do that.
I'm sure you will. If you would be, I mean, you're a successful businessman. So if you look at it and you are pretty much in the same business, you're providing a service, for the lack of a better word, the same as VriP does. If you would be the CEO or a management consultant for VriP, what would you say is, where do they have room for improvement?
I'm not so sure. Uh, I don't know exactly what to tell them. I see them doing many different things, small boat, big boats, and they are more for what the clients want, which is important than the direction that they want to do. It's not so clear if they are more a project company or an interior design company or something like that. They can be everything, but probably should improve their communication in that sense. But I'm not so sure. I think they're doing fine. I see them with so many different things going on. So it looks like they're doing fine. I think that they have I'll tell you so in a way that it seems like they have a better name for being from Holland so long in this kind of business. So their aura, their name for me in Brazil, it looks bigger than the reality. So I'm not sure if this is my impression or I don't know someone in Europe they see them or in Germany they can have a different image of them. But for me, it was supposed to be something super and let's say like you do a boat with Lursen or you have those famous names that work. It, it's bigger than the reality. It's better than the reality. This is now I can say something like that. So they're doing a nice job in terms of uh, reaching out to their clients and all that.
And as a client, if you had any advice the next time, Bart, you already said you need to be farther and deeper into the delivery, pretty much, of what they designed.
Yes, I told him that. I think even though the client wants just the project, he needs to have a few more steps. He doesn't need to follow the construction, but you need to close up. I mean, let's say you do a meeting, or you want my feedback. He need to come back with these changes. So do later the 3D and have more feedbacks. Make an extra round on every piece of the boat. Let's say,
Makes sense.
I think it's important. If
Yeah.
it's a little bit more complicated, but I think it's something important.
Otherwise, there's the feeling of almost, how shall I say, a transaction rather than a relationship. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay. I'm aware of our time, because I'm sure you have an appointment just lined up after our conversation. Is there anything else you would like to add, Mr. Dayan?
Why they hire you to do this kind of research? I mean, it's a little bit. Why?
Why?
What's the purpose? Yes. They
Ah,
feel that they have some gap with their clients, or what's
let me put it in this way. I'm known as one of the leading global customer experience strategists, and I'm the only one worldwide that does research with the ultra high net worth individuals. So we have a large pool of people that we conduct a conversation with, just with you. And our insights were very revolutionary. in particular for industries like private aviation, art collection, wealth management, and the super yacht business. So when we presented our first findings, because as scientists, we present things, we don't keep it there. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, they are so right. Oh, really? They got that right, but we don't know how to do that. So they wanted to find out, and most of my clients want to find out, how do our clients experience their interactions and the relationship with us? Where are the points where we can improve upon? Where are the points where your decision-making process can go one way or another? So what we are trying to do then is assist them to understand what matters most to people like you, Mr. Dayan, and then go back to them and say, okay, this is what you do very well. This is what one thing that you have to keep in mind. And then we compare and contrast it with all the other data we have from our ultra high net worth individuals.
Uh, okay, so I can probably add also that when BART is directly involved, the customer have more confidence. And until a certain moment, he was very involved. And then I had probably the bad chance to have a very interesting person that was working with me. But then I probably he had like two kids in the middle of the of the process, and he also had probably some problems also, I believe. So there was also this problem of continuity because of less involvement from there, or more people other than this relation person was involved. So uh, I think that this is important also, to put more people involved on the. I was very happy in the beginning when we had, like, say, a meeting with someone when we're talking about the whole. Okay, this is the guy that understands exactly the engineer part. Okay, so it's a professional. It's nice to us. Then I had just one or two meetings with the head of interior design, a woman that was, but I never had any more contact with her. She was probably working behind, but I have someone that was there to interact with me, and probably this is something that could have bought, or I think normally is different, but as I mentioned, because they were, I believe, because they had so many new projects and all that, they and the pandemic, I understand all that, but I think it was more. Sometimes I had to call Bart and say, okay, let me tell you something, and he was always very open to hear, and it was important for me to know that he knows what's going on, and not, I mean, he's following what was going on behind the scenes, and he was. So, okay.
Now
I
that makes complete sense what you're describing. It's almost, I'm sure you have that with your client too. If you are the contact, the key account manager, even if there are other people involved in it, you will always be the face and you will be present. You cannot just say, I let now my minions do it, you know.
Yeah. Another thing is I do that a lot. I put many people in contact, which is also good for the clients. Key accounts, he doesn't. He want to talk with the specialist of that and that. So if I have in my business, this one is a specialist on that. Put the put more people in contact with the client instead of just one single person. This also helps.
Yeah, so it's almost like a T-shaped. You have one person who overlooks, but if needs special expertise, gets you
Yeah,
in touch. But
yeah,
you need to know that he or she still overlooks everything.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, I hope I managed to help a little bit.
Oh, it's been terrific. I again thank you so very much. I'm most grateful for you sharing your experiences, and One thing we always do, and we ask you, because we believe it's important to get feedback to feedback. Once we finish our research project and present the findings, would you like to receive an executive summary of it?
Of course, yes.
Excellent. Then I will forward it to you.
It will for sure improve the relationship between the client and the company and VriP.
Yeah, and I always say it's great that companies like VriP, because not everybody is doing it, at least sees that they can use other resources and capabilities to deliver a better experience to you, which is good to see, while others just saying whatever.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Dayan.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Bye
day.
bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.